Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Gypsy Nurse Live. Today's session is tips for navigating the travel nurse housing crisis. And I'm very pleased to say that we have two experts in the field joining us today. We have Ashley Graham, the Director of Housing for Travel Nurse Across America. Ashley has been with Travel Nurse Across America for almost 20 years now and working with hundreds of travel nurses each year and trying to find them housing. And we also have Brian Payne, the CEO of Furnished. Furnished Finder is an online marketplace for monthly furnished housing for, among others, travel nurses and healthcare professionals. And Brian started Furnished Finder back in 2014, I believe. And Brian has been in the healthcare related business for a number of years. So thank you guys very much for joining us. We have what I consider to be some great expertise here joining us today. And really what we want to try and do is help travel nurses navigate what appears to be a very tough market. I think, guys, to just jump right in, we're hearing two consistent questions from the Gypsy Nurse community, the travel nurse community. One is, why is housing so expensive? The other one is, why is it so tough to find? That seems to be a consistent refrain here in the travel nurse community. So, Ashley, from your perspective, from the agency perspective, what's going on out there? What would you tell travel nurses right now?
Well, I think that the incredibly volatile real estate market is one of the biggest driving factors. A lot of people are choosing to sell right now. It's a very competitive market. If you've been paying attention, it's just kind of the nature of the beast. But what is happening is people are selling and then quickly finding out that it's also very challenging to locate another place to purchase. And so we're seeing a lot of people that are choosing to rent versus buy right now until the market kind of settles. So that's the first factor that's playing into it. And then the second factor that's playing into it is people just simply want to go places this year. So we're seeing a significant uptick as COVID is trending down and people are feeling more comfortable leaving the space and the safety of their homes. They're getting out and about. And in most cases, where travelers are needed in the market is going to be in those places where people like to vacation, which then makes it a little bit more challenging. We're seeing a national average of occupancy between 97 and 98%. So we're trying to locate short-term, affordable, safe housing within the 2% that's available to us in the market right now.
Wow. Ashley, you've been involved with travel nurse staffing now for almost 20 years and with Travel Nurse Across America for almost 20 years. Have you ever seen it this difficult to find anything?
The summers are always challenging for a lot of for similar reasons, but this is unprecedented. This is unlike anything that I have seen in all of my years. Wow. Unprecedented.
Brian Payne from Furnished Finder, you have been in the industry now for a number of years, and as the founder and CEO of an online marketplace for monthly furnished housing. What is going on from your perspective? Are you seeing what Ashley's seeing from the agency perspective in terms of the inventory?
Yeah, I mean, from an inventory perspective, we are seeing them fly off the shelves. Where the time to listing to the time they don't update their availability, meaning they have secured a tenant, has shrunk dramatically. So we're seeing, although we are seeing a lot of new listings come on every day. So make sure to go to Gypsy Nurse, go to Furnished Finder, and take a look at to look at the all the listings available to you. But they're flying off the shelves, so you can't keep them. So I mean, I think our point to you is that as a traveler, you can't think like you did, even a year ago or 18 months ago. You're going to have to act a little bit differently. We don't know how long this is going to last. Ashley's exactly right. It's spillover from, the real estate sale industry, and then it just trickles all down to the rental. It's kind of what was that movie, The Perfect Storm, where you had, you also have vacation travelers. People have been cooped up in their house for 18 months. They're getting out, hell or high water. So, and where they're going is they're not necessarily going to Europe. They're going to, Colorado mountains. They're going to Poconos. They're going somewhere where they could drive a couple 100 miles and camp out. So the inventory that you may have been used to seeing available, you're competing at a higher level for less inventory. So we have to do something different.
So Brian, I believe that Furnished Finder has approximately 70,000 listings or something to that effect. What would you give me an idea in terms of how fast some of the listings are moving, or what the, for lack of a better word, the occupancy rate is now for something like that? Give me an idea of what's happening within the Furnished Finder listings.
Yeah, I mean, for landlords, it's great because, you know, their vacancy is really, really low. But for travelers, it's very, very difficult because you're going to have to work harder to find the units that you need. You know, definitely go to furnishedfinder.com and take a look. Yeah, we have over 70,000 listings. We're adding hundreds every day. But, you know, it's just a matter of doing something different. And we have a couple suggestions that you may want to look towards. You know, the first one is just recognizing the market, recognizing that something has changed. That's why we're here educating you guys today, is that, hey, we're operating in a different environment right now. And if you were to do the same thing you did last year, you may not have the same result in this market. Things are flying off the shelves. You know, housing is getting booked the same day many times.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have the luxury of shopping, you know, having, you know, 5 landlords, you know, pitch the property to you. You choose the best one. It's flipped. And it's kind of, if you were buying a house, it's the same thing. It's flipped, where you have to be really aggressive if you're going to buy a house. Well, if you're going to rent a place, especially monthly furnished, you're going to need to be aggressive as well there too.
Ashley, from your perspective, as a travel nurse across America works to place travel nurses into various assignments, and as part of that, you guys are working with them to find housing options. What are some of your suggestions as nurses are looking at assignments and trying to figure out where to live?
Well, first and foremost, I encourage them to start early. Start early. Don't wait until, you know, traditionally people would, you know, depending on lead time from booking to start date is going to kind of dictate that. I would start looking the moment you get that offer. Don't wait until, you know, a week or 2 weeks prior to the assignment starting. That's going to be the key. Starting early, being incredibly flexible. And when I say flexible, I don't mean just in regards to the type of unit that you're looking for the assignment location, but be open to being flexible on price, because to Brian's point, what you spent a year ago, maybe in a similar market, is definitely not going to be the same. The average price that we're seeing is 20% higher than it was this time last year. And depending on the market and the availability in the area, you may see prices even higher than that, because it's a supply and demand thing. It's a give and take. You know, properties are going to see an opportunity, you know, and, you know, unfortunately, we do see occasions where people take advantage of that. So you may see a higher price point than you would traditionally see. And, you know, using, you know, looking at short-term and long-term hotels is also a good fallback. And that's probably one of the biggest things, is making sure you do have a fallback plan. If your expectation is that you're going to go in and you're going to do something very specific and that doesn't work out, make sure that when you begin to look, you already kind of have a plan B. You know, we encourage the short-term and the long-term hotels when they're available. That's not always an option in every market, but that's always really good. And, you know, really thinking about how taking pets and family members along with you is going to impact that, because it makes that 2% even smaller if you're needing to accommodate a family and pets. And so it's just really thinking through all of those pieces very strategically as you move towards making that decision on what you're going to need. If you find something out there that gets you 75% of the way there, take it. Don't wait. To Brian's point, the days of us being able to shop and look at 4 or 5 different options is kind of out the window at this point. If your agency has I don't know how that happened. I just got muted. That was
Oh, we can hear you.
weird.
It's okay.
It's
Okay.
part of the flexibilities you were talking about, Ashley. You got to be flexible. You got to roll with it, right?
Yes, agreed. So if your agency has resources available to you, whether they have a housing department or they simply just have a set of resources out there that are made available to you, utilize them. Just because you haven't utilized them in the past and you've done it on your own doesn't mean that you shouldn't consider doing it now, because the more hands on deck you have, the more successful that assignment potentially will be.
Brian, I would assume you would agree with many of those points from the inventory and supply perspective, the aspect of flexibility, the aspect of you may have to give up a little bit. If you're somebody that normally likes to travel with a pet or like travel with a family member, might not be the best option for this time around because it may rule out other options, correct?
Yeah, we don't know how long this is going to last. Hopefully it's not the new normal, but again, this perfect storm is hitting you now. So you can't act the same way you did before. So let's talk about what you can do differently. Ashley's points are exactly spot on. You have to think differently, you have to act differently, where you would have a knee-jerk reaction to go, oh my gosh, I would never pay that price in San Diego or whatever city. You might want to consider it at this point. It might be for 3 months, it might be for 6 months, it could be for longer, we don't know. But if it's in range, you may want to just realize that there is an inventory crunch. If you have a place, you may want to secure it just in order to do that. Now, on the flip side of that, just realize online housing scams are still real. Okay, and it's going to turn up the heat on those. And I know, please reference, maybe Steve can put a link to our previous video that talked about that a month or two ago. But that's still real. You still have to protect yourself. Use your instincts in your gut, and don't be afraid to ghost somebody if it doesn't seem right to you. Okay.
Yeah. Rule of thumb: if it sounds too good to be true, that's probably because it is.
Right, and I would imagine that, unfortunately, given the red hot environment that you both talked about, it is ripe for scammers, to people to take advantage of travel healthcare professionals, which is unconscionable. But it seems like it is ripe, to do that, unfortunately, and people have to be very careful.
Yeah, indeed. And I was going to mention one other thing, kind of like how we have that knee-jerk reaction. Some travelers have a knee-jerk reaction to tenant screening reports. Just keep in mind that I'll just mention briefly, and you may not like what I have to say, but the background screening that you do to get your job is different than what the type of tenant screening report that a landlord orders. It gives them much more information, the information that they need to make a renting decision. So if you're one of if you're one of the travelers that say, I'll never do a tenant screening report, my background check is good enough, you also might be limiting yourself. Simply, like you said, like Ashley said, if you take a pet, well, where you would have this many options, now you're choosing from this many. So also, do the tenant screening report. If you don't do them, there's going to be 10 people lined up behind you that will.
Great information. Ashley Graham from Travel Nurse Across America, Director of Housing. Any other further thoughts or comments before we close our event here?
No, I think we covered all of the really key components of what people really need to know and understand as they're negotiating this. The key is just to be flexible. Yeah. Be very, very, very flexible.
Yeah, and you guys have the information now. Maybe you didn't have the information before, but you do now. So use the information to your advantage. Be nimble, be informed, stay informed. Use the resources that you have. Again, furnishedfinder.com is available for travelers to go find monthly furnished housing. You can go on Gypsy Nurse and find housing. They have all of the listings on their site. But just be safe and use this information to your advantage.
Great. Well, Brian Payne, CEO of Furnished Finder, and Ashley Graham, Director of Housing for Travel Nurse Across America, I'd like to thank you both for joining us today and providing us with some great information for our travel nursing community at a time when obviously housing is a very, very significant issue. So we thank you both for not only for your time, but also for the sponsorship of the Gypsy Nurse. If folks want more information, they can visit thegypsynurse.com and find more information on Travel Nurse Across America, along with many of their open assignments right now for travel nurses. And as Brian mentioned, through our partnership with Furnished Finder, all of their listings are also available on thegypsynurse.com. So thank you both very much for providing the information today. And it sounds like we may be talking again at some point in the near future about the same situation. So we'll be talking again soon.
That sounds great. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, everybody.